park nerds! Theme park nerds! Theme park nerds! Shut up. Let's start off with talking about the scandal that's been all over the news lately. I'm not sure who broke it. It showed up on like MSN or MSN.com or Yahoo
Local
or
Fox 10 Orlando, I think, was one
something.
of the first ones.
It popped up that there is a service that is outside of Disney, that is not Disney related whatsoever, that you could rent out a tour guide and go through the parks for a set amount of money, and they would basically guarantee you backdoor access to different attractions and things. And it turns out that the tour guide actually had a disability. So they would be able to go to guest relations and apply for one of the GAT cards that they have there. And once they receive that, them and up to 5 other guests would be able to walk on to a majority of the attractions, depending on what park they were at that day and different things like that. So, Mike, paying money to hire someone who's disabled to be able to walk onto rides without waiting in line.
Yeah,
Wow.
there's a couple things that I have with this. First off, aside from the fact that it's exceptionally immoral and completely defeats the purpose of the GAC Pass program, the GAC Pass stands for Guest Assistance Card, which is a little card you get when you're at Disney Park if you can't wait in line, or if you have some sort of disability that can let you stand, or you're bound to a wheelchair, or like any sort of convenience device. It's designed to, help those people who truly need it to, have a good day at the park.
Have a better day, yeah.
And so, aside from that whole thing being immoral and not being the purpose, here's my question. If you truly were the type of person who wanted to just pay to get by the lines, and you were going to do it by using the guest assistance card program, at the very least they're going out of the way to find somebody with an actual disability. But Parker, you and I both know from working at the parks that it doesn't take a whole lot to get a guest assistance card.
No,
I mean, Disney can't legally, demand to see your doctor's information. They can't, ask you what the disability is. So my question is, why, if you're this sort of person, why even bother, renting the disabled person? Like, you can just walk up to guest relations and get the card, say, I'm unable to stand for an hour, and they'll give you a card that gets you in Fast Pass. Which is still just as immoral, but at least you come away with some more money. Like, why rent the guide in the first place?
It's a good question. First off, I just want to disclose, we don't want people going up to guest relations and being like, hey, I have this, and not really have...
Yeah, no, abusing the guest assistance card is quite possibly the worst thing ever.
It makes the lines worse, and it really affects moral stability of the world. It's just awful.
Well, and then the people who actually need it, the worst thing ever is we've worked the attraction. You can tell on the days when there's a few people who don't really need the card, and it ends up making the people who actually do need it because they are not able to wait, or they're bound to a wheelchair, and they end up having to wait in a separate line just for that entrance because there are so many other people who don't really need that entrance going through it. So the system is designed to help those who need it, and when you get these people who are abusing it, all it does is back up that system so the people who are actually disabled and actually have an issue that prevents them from, enjoying the park in a normal way, it now puts a hindrance on them, which completely ruins the purpose of the program and just destroys it.
Yeah, it just basically blows it up. A great example for this is that the Splash Mountain attraction in Orlando, somewhat of the queue line is handicap accessible. So some of it's able to have someone either in a wheelchair or an electric cart or something like that. So basically, they get to a certain point in the line that it goes upstairs. So there's a cast member standing there that if there's a person in a wheelchair, they then escort them through a specific part of the line to a different place that they are to wait. And basically, in the station, they can have so many wheelchairs at one time waiting in the station that are able to ride. Now, this also is used for claustrophobic people because while you're going through the queue, you do go through some tunnels and some tight spaces. However, Splash Mountain also has very claustrophobic portions inside of the ride. So if you are claustrophobic, don't ride Splash Mountain. It's not going to work out well for you. However, the people that do need this card to enjoy their day and be able to help them enjoy their time, because it does take longer to get on the attraction still. It does take longer to get out. It takes longer to find a place to sit down to eat. It makes for a much longer day, and I'm going to say more of a hassle, but the only reason it's a hassle is because it's harder to find those spots where you, as someone with a disability, can go and rest and relax and be by yourself and not have to worry about the crowds.
Well, I think one of the best things that Disney has done
Yeah.
in the renovation, some of the more recent big attractions like at Space Mountain in Disneyland or Toy Story Mania, Radio Springs Racers in California Adventure, where they have the leisure load now, where they have the vehicle that pulls aside off the main circuit, so that you can have that time that, as we have seen, that there's a lot of people who want to ride the ride, but they can't do it in the 18 seconds that everybody else has just to get on, get out, get on, get out.
No.
Like, you need the time to get in. It's a big step down in a lot of attractions, and it takes a little more time. And Disney tries everything they can to go out of their ways as far as spending thousands upon thousands of dollars to alter their attractions to make it easier for guests with disabilities. And it's really horrible when people are taking advantage of a system designed to help those who need it.
Exactly. And right when this came out, prior to it, there was already talk about the system that Disney currently has being abused at all the parks. And I for one, will completely agree. It is abused by people who... It may not...
Who don't want to wait in line.
To one person, it may not seem that they have a disability, but they very well could. But for some people, they'll use it as, I don't want to ride the ride, but my family does, and I don't want to have to wait for them to ride the ride. So I'm going to go, and I'm going to sit, but use my pass for them to ride. If that's the case, I mean, that's not how the system was built. It was built to, you're the person that this was built for. If you'd like to enjoy the attraction, please do. And please bring your family with you. However, if you're not going to, they need to just kind of wait and do their thing. And go take your pass and go... Yeah, the fast pass. And you take your pass and go and enjoy an attraction that you would like to go on. That it's built for you, not for your family or for your friends that are with you. It's built for you. So it's disheartening to know that it's being abused. But there's really no way to fix it right off the top of your head. As you said earlier, there's no way to just be like, you know what? We're going to start asking for a doctor's note. That's completely illegal. You can't do that. ADA law state, that's no. I mean, basically you can walk in and be like, you know what? I have fill in the blank.
Well, and here, but the truth, I mean, is it something you really want to crack down on? I mean, no, just because... No. You don't want to make a bigger hassle for those that truly...
But the fact that this is becoming an issue, and this is something that someone did. Someone said, you know what we can do? We can make money. All we have to do is hire someone with a disability, rent them out for the day. They have to just be okay with walking around in the sunshine all day. And then they'll go back, they'll just take the back ways and all the rides that they can get on. And we'll make some money off of it. And that's awful. The fact that a company came up with that idea, and the fact that someone else was like, you know what? That's me all day. I'll do that.
Well, it's not even... I mean, yes, it's awful, but it's one of those programs where you truly don't want to crack down on it, because all you're gonna do by cracking down on it, yeah, you'll weed out a few people who probably don't really need it, but you're gonna make their lives even more complicated for the people that do. And
absolutely.
In the long and the short of it all, it's not like any attraction is being hindered by people abusing the system. It just slows down the day of the people who are, following the rules, waiting in line, and being the good citizens. And that's, at the end of the day, it's all it is by X people going through. And it's really, truly just on their own conscience and on their own morals and on their own reckoning to, pretend you're disabled for a day, and just because you don't want to wait in a line and you don't want to get a fast pass. So, any of you out there who are wanting to abuse the system, just keep in mind that it's really horrible. Like,
It's really awful.
it's bad.
And it's tracked. And don't get me wrong, there are some attractions that it's specially built for. I know that the Jungle Cruise, they have a specific boat that they load you onto, and they have a waiting area. And like you said, Space Mountain at Disneyland, they actually pull that car up. It comes off the
Boop,
track,
boop, boop.
and it take your time coming on.
I want to ride that so bad. Do you have any idea how badly I want to ride the Leisure Load at Space Mountain? Just because I want to do the shift over to the track,
You wanna do the
which
shift.
it's probably, I know it's not that exciting, but I want to do it. Just a little side note about this whole system, because my grandfather for a long time was in a wheelchair, and he always joked that because he got in the wheelchair so he wouldn't have to ride It's a Small World ever again, because that was the ride that we always made him go on and he hated. You have any idea how excited I was when they put the wheelchair boat in It's a Small World so that he had no choice but to wheel into Small World?
Oh, that's the
Good
worst.
times. And that is what you're supposed to use your Yak Pass for. Making your grandparents ride rides they hate.